Welcome to episode 2 of the Rice Vodka Life podcast, hosted by myself, Taco, and Peter. Let's get right into it with our thought of the week. So I saw this on Instagram this week and it's an incredible thought, I think. And the quote goes like this: say what you want or settle for what you get. I think this is so relevant in all areas of life, whether that's friendships, relationships, business, you name it, any kind of relationship or connection. We have things that we want and different things that we, desire. And sometimes we don't share those things and we kind of feel that, it's in our place or this or that. And there's so many, reasons that we kind of restrain ourselves. And I encourage you to audit yourself. Have a look at what areas you are not speaking up in, that you're feeling resentment in, or it's holding you back, or it's just disappointing you. And I encourage you to make a change in that area. So Peter, I've got a question for you to start off this episode. How do you know when it's time to leave a relationship behind?
Ooh, coming in straight with the deep questions there, Taco. I feel like when it's more negative to your life as opposed to positive, when the relationship is making your life harder than better, I feel that's where a point in time where you got to sit down and really evaluate whether this relationship is something that you do want to continue, that you want to fix, or whether if it's impossible to fix, if you've tried to fix it and you haven't succeeded, then I think it's time to make a change and go away from that. Otherwise, you don't want to hold on to something that will be negative impact on you. What do you think about that, Taco?
Yeah, I think in terms of leaving a relationship behind, there is that aspect where sometimes a relationship was very beneficial, it was great and you loved it, they're a really good friend, they may have been your best friend, but things change with time, and we're all in different seasons. People in all stages change and evolve in terms of what they desire and what they want to put focus into. And if you're no longer part of that focus for them, then I think it's important that you consider leaving that relationship behind, because you never want to connect with someone who doesn't want to connect with you, You want to be able to, this is probably a very random analogy, but it's like a socket and a plug. If there's no plug, you can't plug the socket in. If there's no socket, you can't, do you know what I mean? It's got to connect, and there's got to be that, mutual opportunity to really connect, and you're both open to it. Otherwise, what the heck are you doing and what's the point?
I think you can use that analogy for something else as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to stray away from that one. That was probably a bit of a strange one, but
I like it. It's fine. I guess basing off that as well, what do you think then, Taco, makes a good relationship?
I think a good relationship is the fact that you're both mutually invested in the relationship. You both want to connect, whether that's business, friendship, or relationship. You both want to make time for each other. You both want to apply and add value and quality to the relationship in order to make it something great. I'd say that's what I think. What are your thoughts on this, Peter?
I like it. I like what you said about that. And I don't know, in terms of what makes a good relationship, I purely feel, and this is going to sound quite cheesy, but it goes down to feeling. If you really enjoy spending time with this person, and it's mutual as well, and you guys both make an effort to see each other, when you do, you're having a great time. If the plan doesn't work out, you guys can still enjoy each other's company, regardless of what the situation is. I feel like that's what makes a good relationship. And this kind of brings back to my relationship with my girlfriend now, is that whatever we do, we enjoy our time together. And when it comes to dating, when it comes to, I guess, choosing or finding someone that's right for you, I feel that's what it comes down to, is that feeling. You purely just enjoy spending time with them.
So, I've got another question for you, Peter.
Okay.
How do you define whether a relationship is worth your time?
Ooh. There you go. Well... A little bit similar to the very first question there. I feel like if it has a positive outcome into your life, in that case, then you should really continue this relationship. If you're benefiting from it, if you are enjoying your time, if there is... It's interesting. There's two types, I guess, of relationships. There's one's like a professional relationship where there is future benefit from doing business with each other in the future, or a benefit to you in that regard as well. And you guys can mutually use each other's skills to make success out of that, as well as a person purely from that friendship state where you just enjoy your time and things.
Yeah, I want to add to that actually, and I would say a key thing of whether a relationship is worth your time, from my point of view, is the long game. You
Ooh.
know, in my mind, everything is about long term. You know, you don't have that much time in life to muck around and waste time with things that don't matter or relationships that don't matter. You know, you want to build something incredible, whether that be a friendship, a relationship, or business. You want to establish something that can grow and grow and grow and grow into something incredible. You know, going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and constantly stepping up, because you know, what's the point of spending something even 5 minutes at a time? It's like that quote that I've heard before, which is, if it isn't going to matter in 5 years, don't spend 5 minutes on it. And I think that's quite relevant to whether a relationship is worth your time.
Okay, and I fully agree with that as well. But I guess, how do you know a relationship will be a long term one? Um, how do you invest into it? Say, for example, if I'm going into a short, every relationship starts off in a little bit of a short term, right? And we try to engage into it. How do you know where this relationship has potential to be a long term one?
I think you look for the key indicators of the fact that there's potential and possibility for something long term to develop. You won't know exactly whether that is there, but you have to explore that and see. But you definitely also want to go into it with the goal and plan for it to be long term. And as the journey progresses, you'll see whether that's the case. And if it's not, it goes back to what we talked about before, where that question, that relationship, sorry, isn't worth your time, and it will be the right time to leave it behind and, you know, take on and engage and focus on a relationship or opportunity that is working the long game, that is building something incredible.
Okay. And I guess, in what case would a short term relationship be worth your time? Or is that even the thing, a short term relationship?
Yeah. I guess short term relationships, in my mind, when you say that, it's potentially different to what you might be thinking, but it's when you need to connect with someone and you can help them in that specific season or
Yeah.
for a particular
Okay.
reason.
There you go.
So, say if someone, for me, I go to church and there's often youth and different people, they might have a question or they might have something on their mind. And, you know, I might connect with them for a season, help them out in that and make sure that they're all right and give them some knowledge and wisdom that I've been able to establish from what I've done in the past and my mistakes and failures that have caused me to engage in different ways. And then that relationship is short term, because as much as I might enjoy hanging out with them, I don't see myself hanging out with them forever and helping them forever. You know, I've got other core relationships and friendships that I choose to focus on. So that's how I would say a short term relationship is beneficial, is usually when you can help them out for a particular reason. And then once that reason is over, then that season is due and it's kind of chop that thing off.
Hey.
Not in a
okay.
bad way, but you got to chop it off because it's going to drain your time. It's going to shift your focus. It's going to take away from everything you do and make you slightly more average than you would be without doing, you know, whatever you're doing with this relationship short term.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your time is the most valuable to yourself, right?
100%.
And you got to make the most out of it, and that's reality right there.
Okay, I've got another question for you, Peter.
Yep.
If you're interested in connecting with someone, what are your tips to building that connection? And this can be in any type of relationship.
Ooh, okay. Really, it's that common ground. I feel like it's something that you guys can spend time with each other, and so, wait, give me that question again. What's the first part?
So it's, if you're interested in connecting with
yeah.
someone, what are your tips to build that connection?
All right. Biggest tip: let them speak. I feel like
That's so good.
yeah, it's simple, right? But it's
Let me
it's
cut
true.
you off right there.
Hey, no. But yeah, no, let them speak, and by that I mean give an open-ended question. Let them talk about what is on their mind, what makes them tick, what their interests are, and reciprocate with their own questions as well. Let them ask you questions. Let them ask you questions as well, and really get it into a deep emotional connection. We all hate small talk, more or less, right? Small talk is a very useful thing, and we should do it. However, when it comes down to it, it's not something that's engaging. But when we do get these open-ended questions, that's when people really, truly try to open up. And anyone can connect with anyone, as long as you're ready to listen and ready to, I guess, contribute to that conversation as well. Yeah. Cool. Yep. What do you think about that, Tucker?
So I think, like you said, it's really important that it's both ways and that you connect, like we've talked about already. But another thing is definitely going on with talking about what their interests are. People love to talk about their interests and they love to go on and on about the things they love. So if you start a conversation and you get it going down that route and they have time to share about that, they are going to thoroughly enjoy the conversation and they are going to be interested in connecting with you again and allow for future opportunities and connection to build that relationship.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I guess it brings back to the idea of why is it important to have a good relationship, or why do we need good relationships in our life?
Yeah, I think good relationships are one of the most important things in life. If you think about it, everything we do is relationship based. Whether you're at home with your family, what are those relationships like? Whether you're in business, what is that relationship looking like? Dating, it's all about relationship. Like, life is about connection. We aren't designed, from a research point of view, I'm fairly sure that, when you leave someone in an isolated, solitary confinement environment, they do not thrive, they do not succeed. And good relationships are ones that I think challenge you as well. If a relationship is just purely based on doing what you're doing, if you've been going to the clubs for 50 years and you're doing the same thing with the same people, going to the same spots, that's a little bit repetitive. And I don't think that's what a good relationship is, if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, if people are happy doing it, more or less, more power to them, to be honest.
Okay.
Fair enough. Unless you are wanting to achieve something more, but if you are content with it, I mean, I'm okay with people doing all the things they want to do.
Yeah. No hate for, if you go clubbing or anything, got nothing against going clubbing and having fun, doing whatever do your thing, have a dance, of course. But what I'm saying is, if you have a relationship where, I'm talking about more detrimental, repetitive things. So if you're constantly just blazing up with your mate 24/7 all the time, year after year, you feel like you've wasted a huge amount of your life and wasted a ton of money. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know that relationship is not bearing anything good in terms of fruit, and you were seriously causing detrimental, outcomes for your life based on the fact that you're investing in that relationship. So that's why it's important, I think.
No, I totally agree with that. And if it is having a negative impact on your life, in that case, I wholeheartedly agree that you need to make that change and really evaluate that relationship you have with whatever that is. However, if you are being happy, if it is giving you fulfillment in your life, more power to you. But like you said, if it's being detrimental to you, definitely stray away from that.
Yeah, I think, like you said just then, fulfillment is a key part of a relationship. If it's fulfilling and it's not causing you to go downhill and slightly uphill, not every relationship is going to be the kind that challenges the heck out of you and grows you like a mother flipper. But it's good to have those there, because I don't know about you, but I want to be climbing to different levels. I don't want to be the same Taco I was 3 years ago, next year and the year after and the year after, But yeah, there are relationships that persist that are just pretty good and, baseline.
Yeah, I mean, the most growth happens when you are the most challenged and in the most difficult times. So I totally agree with that. And that relates to a lot of the experiences I had this year. I had a lot of challenges and probably been my hardest year in my whole life. But it's also been the year that I've done the most growing and the most changes, and it's definitely impacted my life in a very positive way. So yeah, and if someone can challenge you in a relationship, I feel like that is a good relationship, because you're going to continuously be growing and improving yourself and being better than where you were yesterday and the year before.
Peter, I've got a quote here and I'm wondering what you think of this and just what your thoughts are on this.
Okay.
If you never ask, you never know.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. I used it in my job the other day.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked is because you can't assume, right? You can't assume how people think. You can't assume what people might be doing or saying. So what's the best way to get an answer? Well, it's to ask. And there you go.
I genuinely think this is one of the most impactful things I've implemented in my life. So these are probably really random examples, but honestly, if you ask, you never know what opportunities open up. Some people are so shy, or they're scared, or they have predetermined outcomes in their mind of what they think is going to happen, that they never ask about things. So this is actually an example today when Peter and I, we went to the pool today, had a bit of a sauna, a swim. Always encourage a bit of fitness, so go for that. But I was there and I was thinking, will I be able to get a ball or something, or how can I source this? And I went for it. I just asked the lifeguard, are there any balls available? Can we find, a ball? This is a rubber ball, by the way, to play with, and just throw around the pool, have some fun. And she found the swim school shed and got a ball that we could use. If I never asked, I would have never known. I would have opened up all the opportunities and everything that followed from that. So always ask, and that's a really basic example, but in business and friendships and everything, there's always things like if you're in a job interview or if you're in a job review and you don't ask and you don't say things, it goes back to what we talked about before, where you settle for what you get, because you don't get what you don't ask for. No one is thinking deeply, how can they add value to your life in the exact way that you want it to be added to you. You need to project and you need to ask and do things, you know what I mean? It's about responsibility and action and really going after the things you want in life, because quite often life doesn't just hand you things for free, and I don't think it does really at all. You have to go out and get it.
Absolutely. And I love how you bring the ball example as well, because when we talked about it and then you suddenly disappeared, I knew in the back of my mind somehow you would come back with a ball. And I wasn't really surprised when you did come and then you got that ball from somewhere. And I think it's actually a really good analogy as well, in terms of like not the ball in itself, but what that ball could represent in life.
Wow.
If you go out and actually grab it and then you come back and you have that, whatever that ball could represent and whatever that is what you wanted to get, you got it. And purely because you actually went out and actually did it. If you could have told me, oh, maybe they don't have a ball available and it's done, and would have been stuck.
Yeah, so actually, a thought that just prompted me on is that quite often when you ask, people want to help a lot more than you assume they do. When you ask, people are flippin' friendly. And if they're not, well, stuff that person, move on to the next person that will probably want to help you. That actually shifts me to another thought, is that quite often, we want to connect or do things and engage with people that actually don't really want to connect or help us. And if you find that you are in those sort of situations, shift your focus and flip and go somewhere else. Because for every single person that doesn't want to help you or doesn't want to connect with you, there's at least 5 that really, really want to. You just haven't found them, or they're actually already in your network and circle of friends. But for whatever reason, you guys haven't reached out to each other for this or that reason. Just go for it. Take the first step, and you never know what doors and opportunities can open up.
Taking the leap, it's cheesy and it's generic, but it's true, right? You got to be the one who takes the leap. It happens with romantic relationships as well. You both like each other, but each person is waiting for the other person to make the first move, and then nothing really happens, and suddenly changes happen or they drift apart. And that really comes with one person really taking the leap. And if that person can be you, always go for it, always take it, and you're going to be a lot of opportunities opening up when you're the one taking that leap all the time. And bringing it back to what you mentioned about people always willing to help, I think by nature people are always more inclined to help, especially, and this comes down to a lot of like your approach as well as how you your tone of voice and how you approach your questioning. But more or less, people are always willing to help, and everyone is quite kind by nature, I feel like. And obviously, there's some people having a bad day. They can react negatively, and like Taco said, let them be there. Move away, go to someone else who's not in that negative state, and then they can help you out, and you can base it off there.
Yeah. So when you talk about negative relationships and that sort of thought, I just thought of this as, quite often we get in situations where people get angry. I was volunteering at a event last night, and this person got very agitated and very angry at me, and they ended up saying all kinds of rude things that were quite brash and harsh, but I managed it and sorted it out. But at the end of the day, it wasn't actually me that I think annoyed him. It was a whole bunch of other things. Who knows, he could have had the worst day or the worst week ever. And quite often we take the blame and we feel offended that this person's angry and this and that. Don't let things get personal too soon in general, but also especially when people are angry and heated. Quite often, if the person, imagine if you're talking to a businessman and they've had the worst week of their life, they've had the worst sales possible, and half their employees left the company and he's angry. Well, damn, he's got a reason to be angry. He ain't just agitated because you just did something small. He's been pissed off for a long time. And, look at it like that, because if we always take things personally, we always think that we are the trigger point, we will always find it difficult to mend or cool those relationships and connections down, which are difficult to deal with. And in those situations, honestly, being calm, being honest, and being understanding, asking them what they think, and also agreeing with them. I've found that one of the most powerful tools in order to de-escalate a situation is to ask people, what their thoughts are, but also agree with them. This reminds me of a situation where I was volunteering at Northern Base, and there was a guy who was mad drunk and mad hacked off, and he couldn't get in, and he was just going crazy. And it was my job to control him and allow him to potentially sober up and get in. And all I did was I kept agreeing with him. He's like, let me in, let me in. Why the heck am I not getting let in? And I said, you deserve to go in there. You deserve to get in there. Obviously, at the time, he bloody didn't. But I agreed with him nonetheless. And it really changed the dynamic and changed the game, because he's like, oh, okay, this guy agrees with me. I'm, probably going to get what I want. And he really chilled the flip out. And that's really, really important, I think, in terms of managing those sorts of situations in life.
Absolutely. And what I learned in my previous sales job is the first thing you do to handle an objection or something like that is you really have to agree and acknowledge with the person's what they're feeling and align with them, and then really make the situation neutral. And like you said, don't take it personally straight away. It's the situation that could be at hand, and it's the way you handle that situation. You can de-escalate it very quickly. Or if you react to it emotionally, and if he's angry, you're going to be angry too, or you both, I guess that you fight fire with fire, and the fire just gets bigger, and somebody's gonna get burned.
We don't want any sausage sizzles, y'all. Put those fires out.
I had a sausage sizzle this morning, and if you guys not aware, in New Zealand, that's a very big thing. People always do fundraisers for sausage sizzles. I can't pronounce that word. So delicious. I love those, man. Those hot dogs.
What is the sausage sizzle, Peter?
Well, people usually do a fundraiser outside a warehouse or like a public area, and usually it's like $2. You buy a sausage that's on a barbecue, and it usually has some fried barbecued onions with some tomato sauce or mustard on top. Your choice is yours. Absolutely delicious, wonderful, yummy. I love it,
man. Yummy. Okay. Enough sausage talk now.
All right, and so Taco, I got a wrapping up question for you. Not really wrapping up, but how many, I guess, close relationships do you think a person needs? Let's keep this away from business. Let's focus purely on I guess, a friendship kind of way. How many relationships do you think a person really needs?
Not that many, to be honest. I think it would be, in my mind, potentially below 6. But you can't really put a number on. Certain people can have a certain capacity to manage relationships better than others. But what I would say is you only need, definitely less than 10 real good inner circle connections and friendships and relationships, because you don't have that much time to connect with people all the time and build relationships that are key to you, even mentors and other things like that, where you connect with people that are teaching you. You only have so much time. And I connect with a lot of people. I know a lot of people, and I definitely only have a very small circle of consistent friends that I spend time with, because I know that I don't have enough time to connect willy-nilly with anybody. I want to be smart with my time. And shout out to all the people listening that are my good friends, and I really appreciate you guys. You're incredible. And seek to find those friends that you really enjoy spending time with. They help you to build towards your long-term goals, and they are growing. You know what I mean? I like to be around that kind of person. I'm not saying that's for everyone and not everyone's cup of tea. And there, I actually want to share a thought that, life in general, a lot of things are subjective. People talk about this and that, whether it's finance, relationships, this and that. You've got to figure out what fits for you. Even nutritional fitness. People always think they have the best formula and recipe. Even some of the thoughts that we share, it might not be the best formula and recipe for you. Think about that. Process it. You're intelligent, and I want to say that to every single listener here. I certainly believe that you guys are intelligent. If you have ears and you can listen to this and you can download this podcast for however you listen to it, you are intelligent. Use that intelligence to process and, make the best of all the different unique situations in life that only you understand how you can best fit into. No one can give you a better answer than yourself. And if you are the type of person like myself, sometimes you second guess and, you wonder whether you have the best thoughts or ideas and concepts. Just latch onto something that you think works best at that time and go for it. Analysis by paralysis is a real thing, and that shit happens a lot, and people don't do anything. So don't be that guy, and yeah.
I love it, man. I'm like, use your own interpretation on what we say. Like, what we say is basically our opinions as well. I feel like we do give a lot of good advice, but at the same time, it's not a law, right? Use your own interpretation of what we say, whether you agree on it, disagree, or challenge us on it. This sparks your own thoughts and what matters to you and what you feel like would be the correct thing to do, and really just help build it off from what you want to do. And when you came back a little bit before, Taco, I used to think as well in regards to that friends question. I used to think that I need to have as many friends as possible, and the more friends I have, the better. I had this in the back of my mind always. I thought networking was the number one factor. In high school, I just thought as many friends as possible was good. I mean, I naturally fell into that as being like a natural social butterfly. However, it was in the back of my mind. The problem is, and I think this happens with the transition of becoming an adult, is you realize you don't have time for everyone else, and friendship starts to fade, especially for the people you don't get to see. You do have these catch-ups every now and then. However, I agree with that. Less than 10 is pretty good number of close relationships that you can actually relate to and go back to and really build off. So
yeah. And those friends usually will be in all sorts of different areas. You have some friends that are part of certain hobby or interest that you have. And, I think a good way to break it down, if you're trying to think practical here, is, I have certain friends that I connect with based on fitness. I have certain friends that I connect with based on business. I have certain friends that I connect with based on church and God and building my faith and journey, which is very important to me. You need to figure out what those categories in your life are. You might like certain hobbies or this or that. What are those areas and what are the key friends there is a good way to establish that you've got all your bases covered in terms of the key areas you want to have relationships and friendships, I think.
Cool. Yeah, and then I guess let's get some final thoughts on that relationship talk then, Taco. Any final questions you have for me? I guess on this kind of topic.
I don't have any final questions, but a thought would be, honestly, just analyze your relationships and really think about where they are taking you and where you're going with them. Because if you live and you carry out your relationships willy-nilly and you don't really think about it and you just let things ride, this ain't a wave, you're gonna crash. Like, you are not going anywhere good, without a plan. It's like if you want to go somewhere where you've never been before and you ain't got no GPS, you ain't got no coordinates, you are not going anywhere fast, my friend, and you are going to get lost as hell, and you're going to waste so much time, and you are just not going to be very happy with that result. So I encourage you to think about your relationships. What ones do you potentially need to cut off? What ones do you need to build and grow and connect? And build your relationships to build your life.
Absolutely, man. I completely agree with that. You gotta really take action into your own hands. If a relationship is having a negative impact onto your life, absolutely sit down, analyze it, really think, is this worthwhile for you and your time? If not, go ahead and make that change, make that action, and you would definitely see a positive impact in your life and in the future coming through. So guys, I want to thank you all for staying tuned and listening to me and Taco talk here. It's been a pleasure. We just threw out ideas here and it all came out. Like previous time, give us any feedback you guys want to see or any topics you guys want us to cover. And, it's been a pleasure, and see you guys all in the next one.
If you got something out of this podcast, I'd highly encourage that you share it with a friend or a family member or anyone. We just want to share ideas and we want to spread them. And if you can help and be a part of our family in doing that, that would be so awesome. Have an incredible rest of your week and keep thinking about how you can change and grow your life, because this is what this podcast is all about.
Hey, let's go. Peace out, guys.